Hey everyone, fascinating discussion today with an innovator in the world of IoT device management and more with Omer from Xyte. Omer, how are you?
I'm doing great, Evan. Pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, thanks for being here. Really interested in the work you're doing and maybe introduce yourself and the genesis of Xyte and the kind of problems that you guys are solving these days.
My name is Omer, born and raised in Israel, live in Mountain View, California nowadays. Um, Worked for many years for relatively large device manufacturers in the professional audio video industry. I left the company about 6 years ago to found Xyte together with my co-founder. To date, we've raised nearly $40 million from Sequoia Partners, Intel Capital, Samsung, BlackRock, and some other leading investors. And really, when I left my previous employer, I realized, I guess, two main things. The first one is that devices need to have a much more robust cloud platform to be able to be managed in the cloud. And for these device manufacturers to start and adopt more innovative business and go-to-market models, kind of like those we see with Apple, Tesla, and others. And the other thing is to be able to do that, they need to have a very robust cloud platform that in most cases, it's simply not their core competency to develop ones. So we founded Xyte, raised some money from venture capital, as mentioned before, to develop this cloud platform to serve device manufacturers, their value chain partners, system integrators, dealers, and their end customers.
A fantastic value proposition. And what makes your approach different or unique versus traditional solutions or standards that might be out there? What's your approach to connectivity exactly?
Yeah, so it's a great question that we constantly keep asking ourselves. And I think Xyte is very, very unique in the market in that aspect because when you look at the solutions out there for device manufacturers, then you can kind of segment them into two groups. And I see that there's almost like a Venn diagram, right? The first group is all the IoT platforms, right? They have Azure IoT and AWS IoT and a bunch of other IoT solutions. And their main focus is around IoT features such as alerts and telemetry and data and so on. And I don't think that Xyte is an IoT platform. And the other group of solutions is, generally speaking, business platform. Think about Salesforce and ServiceNow, SAP, Oracle, and others. And those platforms are great for businesses, but they're not built for connected device manufacturers or IoT manufacturers. And what Xyte does really well, we merge those two circles in the Venn diagram, where we build a purposely designed platform with a business value proposition, but purposely designed for connected device manufacturers. So I strongly believe that the IoT and connectivity are solved problems, not interesting for startups to deal with, right? We can never compete with Azure and connecting millions of devices to the cloud and sending billions of telemetries. But I also don't think that there is much value lies there for the device manufacturers and their value chain. On the other hand, the real question is, well, what do I do with these data? How can I leverage the cloud technology to offer my customers, my system integrators, my value-added resellers new ways to innovate, new ways to run their business, new ways to support their customers? And that's where Xyte fits.
Fantastic. So you're helping device manufacturers streamline operations. That's one key area. I mean, how
Mhm.
does that work? Maybe describe a workflow or an example that would add some color to that.
Yep. So we offer our device manufacturers customers, and I'll maybe elaborate on that in a second. We have almost like two products and two different type of customers, but we offer our device manufacturers customer a full suite of cloud-based tools. I always like to say that they can be in the cloud without needing to know how to spell AWS. It's a complete no-code platform, and the platform is structured in 6 different modules, 6 different hubs. We have a specific module for the product people that enable them to very easily connect hundreds of thousands of millions of devices to the cloud and start and getting data from these devices and analyze the usage of these devices and start and trace anomalies in their device operation and so on. The other hub is the commerce hub that enable these device manufacturers to start and configure subscription and entitle licenses to their devices. So we are all very much familiar with premium features we can buy to Tesla cars today to enable full self-driving, right? There's a whole back office platform that Tesla has built in-house to support that. And Apple has a similar thing with their application store and their apps, right? But when you think about those two companies, they're really software companies, and no other hardware company in the world can build that kind of platform to enable this kind of advanced features. So we at Xyte, we build that as an infrastructure so that any device manufacturer, it can be a display, it can be an audio device, it can be a coffee machine, it can be a truck, can leverage this platform to start remotely managing, monitoring, and then starting to offer premium features for their devices.
Fantastic. So it sounds like remote monitoring and maintenance of devices in the field are key use cases. Are those the primary ones, or what else do you see in terms of the value you're delivering?
That's a great question. Maybe we can use that almost like as a segue to our other type of customers. So yes, you're absolutely right. Remote management and monitoring, in most cases, is the initial value, the immediate value that these device manufacturers are looking to get with Xyte. Because when this device manufacturer, when they're being in contract, right, in many cases, their end customer number one request is being able to make sure that all the devices are live and maybe distribute new firmware version to all of the devices and so on. So they have to have some kind of a cloud platform. And that's what Xyte allows them to do. But what we also, what was also very clear to us from the beginning is that if you're selling in an integrated industry, like the professional audio video and the unified collaboration is, which is one of our first target markets, then there's very little value for your customers in monitoring a single brand devices. Because in most cases, you'll have a display from one brand and an audio system from another brand, maybe a microphone, and then a UC system from Zoom or Teams. And what the enterprise customers and the managed service providers, the system integrator, what they really need is a single pane of glass where they can see all of their devices and services in a single pane of glass. So about 3 months ago, we've launched a new product for managed service provider, for system integrators, dealers, in some cases, large universities and end customers, enabling them to take all the device manufacturers working with Xyte, as well as some others, into a unified interface. And that adds great value to these MSP customers compared to have 10, 15, 20 browser windows sometimes open with 20 different monitoring tools. So we bring everything into one window. We allow them to integrate with their native ticketing system, notification apps such as Slack, Microsoft Teams, Google Chat, and others, so they can always be proactive. And once we build that, we add great value to the remote management and monitoring aspect to the customer, which ensure much higher adoption rate and retention rates for the device manufacturers as well. And then in many cases, the second act, in a way, is start offering subscription or premium feature enablement based on the Xyte platform.
Oh, fantastic. So it's funny you chose collaboration as the market to focus on, given that you're basically trying to improve collaboration between the manufacturers and the MSPs and the integrators. So what is your go-to-market? Who is your customer? Is it the MSP, or is it the device manufacturer, or the systems integrator, or all the above?
So both. That's a great question. Both. We essentially work with the MSPs to have them manage all the devices for their customers. Whenever they have another brand they're usually working with, if that brand does not already have a cloud that we can integrate with, then we have all the cloud tools for these brands to onboard its devices to the cloud, or as we call it, cloudify their devices. And then in that case, we work with device manufacturers. Once again, in the audio video, we work with some of the leading device manufacturers, including Legrand, Planer, Bose, and others. And we're now expanding to those MSPs and the very large enterprise customers, sometimes managing tens of thousands of meeting spaces worldwide. And they absolutely must have some sort of a platform to make sure everything is working as it should.
Fantastic. So is your elevator pitch about cost savings? Is it, operational efficiency, less manpower from your platforms, or, how do you pitch this to customers?
So for MSPs, I think it's exactly that. And it's about rolling less trucks, right? Being able to
Mm.
be proactive, signing better managed services agreement or SLAs with your customers, and ensuring uptime based on the platform. Being able to fix things remotely. Many of those system integrators today, they have 10, 20, 50, sometimes more employees focusing on service their customers. Instead of taking those 50 employees and have them across maybe two large customers, now you can take them across 50 different customers, right? And grow your services dramatically. I also think that if you look at the analogy of the software world, and that's the one I often use with system integrators, I strongly believe that system integrators must change their business. And if you look at what happened in the software world, it's hard to believe, but 10, 15 years ago, we all used to go to the store down the street and buy Adobe or Microsoft Office on a CD, take it back home and install it, right? And
I
those
used, I used to buy
stores
it on floppy disks, so I'm
on
a little
floppy
older
disk,
than
yeah,
you, but yes, yeah.
the large ones, right? The
Yeah,
whatever
five and
five
a
point
quarter,
inch,
yeah.
yeah. And if you go back there, this store is no longer there, right? And one of two things happened: either the store went out of business because no one is reselling discs or CDs any longer, right? Or they changed their business to become G Suite or Microsoft Office 365 implementation partners. And while with devices, it's different because there's always a physical device to be installed, and you can't simply download a 65-inch display from the cloud. I think there's still a very strong force pushing everybody, but especially those MSPs, to opt in more and more into services, because otherwise the devices are being commoditized. Anyone can buy a display at Best Buy today and install it on the wall. And if you really want to do, offer a better service to your customers, you have to adopt new technology, and that's what Xyte enable these system integrators to do.
Oh, fantastic. So your clients probably have lots of questions about security and encryption and compliance, with your solutions. How do you put them at ease when it comes to deploying this, particularly across all those networks and devices?
So that's another great question. Well, first of all, when I left my previous employer, I've built that platform for my large enterprise customers at the time that were asking for something that we simply could not supply them at the time. So when we built the platform, we built that with compliance and security in place. And today, well, first of all, the platform is completely GDPR and CCPA compliant or certified, and SOC 2 Type 2 certified. And by doing and going through regular penetration tests weekly, and by doing so, we actually take a lot of hassle from our device manufacturers customers, and the MSPs, because when they're selling that to some of the largest enterprises today using Xyte, they don't have to go and do all those processes, which, by the way, are very, very pricey on themselves, but actually say, hey, we're using Xyte. Xyte has the SOC 2 type report, the GDPR, whatever you need. Xyte has that in place, and we're building on top of that. In addition, we've spent a lot of resources, honestly, in the last 6 months or so, to drastically improve our security capabilities and features, and adding new features such as two-factor authentication and some other auditing tools and so on to the platform to make it really a good fit for large enterprise customers. And without naming names, I can tell you that some of the largest Fortune 500 companies today are using Xyte to manage and monitor their devices.
Oh, well done. Speaking of customers, you have lots of brands and logos on your website. Care to
Mhm.
share any, anecdotes or stories or outcomes on customers you're working with, and how it's going?
I don't want to get myself into trouble with some NDAs, but I would tell that some of the customers there that you see have been with us for 5 years now, renewing from the very early beginning where quite honestly, what I sold them wasn't fully working. It's a whole different platform today. Some of those customers, especially device manufacturers, did the math, and they found out that building the same platform on their own will cost them anywhere between $5 to $8 million or euros, depends on their geographic. Not a big difference today anyway. And with Xyte, they were able to get to the cloud with a fraction of the cost within 3 or 4 months, right? So it's a drastic improvement for them. And I really do think that the most exciting thing about Xyte is not one customer or another customer, but it's the collaboration, as you mentioned before, because unlike any other platform, Xyte enable the device manufacturer not just to push products and solutions for their system integrators and customers, but actually collaborate with them on the platform. And it enabled the MSPs and the customers to collaborate with multiple manufacturers on the platform. So it's essentially a collaborative platform, which I think makes it very, very unique.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So how does a customer, partner, an MSP get started? I mean, what's the process? How long does it take? And
Mhm.
when can they expect to get up and running? Is this, days, weeks, months?
So they reach out to us to the website. We, take them for introduction and call. We show them the platform, and that usually take 45 minutes to an hour based on their use case. For system integrators and MSPs, it's relatively very very easy. They can open an account the same day and start buying essentially licenses for that single pane of glass monitoring tool. Those some of them do choose to leverage our APIs and connect some custom devices, and that can take
Mm.
slightly longer, but once again, not longer than a few weeks, depends on how complex they want to go. And then device manufacturers is usually a more strategic decision. So the process is usually longer, not because of we don't because of Xyte or because we're missing anything, because it usually take them some more time to evaluate the platform. Once again, I think I believe we had Bose and Legrand, sorry, Bose and Atlas IDEA, two good examples that announced their cloud platform around Infocom in June, and 2 3 months later they launched the platform for the public. So I really don't think you can compete with that if you're looking to do anything in the cloud. Doing something in the cloud in under 3 or 4 months is quite incredible.
Yeah, well done. So what are you looking forward to as we head into 2025? Lots of great events. You mentioned Infocom. I
Mhm.
mean, I'll be at CES and Enterprise Connect, Mobile World Congress. Where are you headed, and what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, so our biggest focus, as mentioned before, is the professional audio video and the unified collaboration industries. Uh, we see great momentum and great motion there among system integrators and customers and device manufacturers. Our two main events for 2025 are ISC, Integrated System Europe in Barcelona, and Infocom in June in Orlando. In addition to that, we just had our AV Cloud Summit about a month ago. It was an online event, and we're planning on another online event sometime in May for the industry. And in addition to that, we are going to many other smaller events to visit or support our device manufacturers customers, demonstrating their cloud solution based on Xyte. Our expectation to Xyte is for 2025. I'm sorry, is to keep the same momentum as we are now. Growing the team, growing our set of customers, adding more capabilities and features to the platform. There's just so much to do, right? And as the team knows very well, I'm a very impatient person. So I kind of want it all now. But we're working very, very hard to complete our goals. And I think more important than anything else, to really satisfy our customers and partners. We see that as a very long-term relationship with them. We built a very strong partnership with many of them. We take very seriously their feedback and requests, and continuously push to improve the platform and how we can support them to essentially, support their customers. So I think it's a very ambitious goal to work with all these device manufacturers to do that.
Well done. Well, it's an exciting opportunity, great value proposition, and the AV industry has been in a bit of the dark ages for a long time. That's my words, not yours.
Yes.
So, getting them into a modern cloud architecture is great stuff. Congratulations on all the success.
Thank you so much. And I'll say on a personal note that I've been in this industry for, I want to say, 28 years now. So I tend to agree, with what you just said. But I think it's personally very exciting for me to help take a small part in transforming this industry and get into a much more modern cloud infrastructure. I think the industry deserve it, our customers deserve it, and if we can help make that change, I think it'll be a great achievement.
I agree. Well, congratulations. Thanks for joining. Thanks everyone for listening and watching and sharing as always, and take care.
Thank you so much, Evan.